If you visited my channel in the past, you're probably no stranger to the lamenting of the lost potential of modern Total War games. One game in particular felt like more of a letdown than any other, not necessarily because the game itself was so bad, but more so because, again, of a perceived lost potential. I'm of course talking about Empire Total War, the game that immediately followed the legendary Medieval 2 and promised the world of the 18th and 19th centuries, but which somehow managed to come up short. I mentioned both the good and the bad in my 2021 review of the game, but something truly massive has now come to light. Well, today, a modder by the name of Arceus has helped me uncover an entire treasure chest, in fact, more like a fully preserved sunken Spanish galleon full of proof of COD content. And in this video, that's what I intend on sharing with you. A massive thanks goes again to Arceus for finding the data in the game files, and if you wish to know more of what he's up to, feel free to check out his ModDB profile in the description. And speaking of COD content, if you're anything like me and just hate not being able to watch whatever you want on your subscription platforms because you're locked out due to region issues, well then check out the sponsor of today's video. Atlas VPN is running a huge discount for Andy's Tech subscribers right now. And for just $199 a month, they'll give you a 3-year subscription with a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is a limited time offer, so make sure to check out the link in the comments down below before the deal expires. Now you may ask, Andy, $1.99 a month for a 3-year service, well what am I even paying for here? Well my friend, a VPN is a service that protects your data while you're on the internet. And you are essentially paying for the ability to foresee what the Trojans couldn't. And if you value your internet security just a little bit more than the Trojans value Troy, Atlas VPN got you covered. It blocks all the malicious links, ads and trackers, and notifies you when someone is trying to steal your data. I know that I myself feel much more secure on the internet being connected to various IP addresses than just my own private one, and if you're anything like me, you're going to love the protection that Atlas VPN provides. What's more is that what Atlas VPN offers is very simple and easy. As you know, companies like Netflix are region locked, essentially cutting content away from your digital library, even though it really ought to be there. And that's where Atlas VPN's geo-blocking features come in, which really unlocks the potential of the internet for you and use Netflix as if you were in a completely different place. And the best part? It works on all your devices, so you can use it on both your computer, phone, tablet, whatever it may be, all at the same time. Again, Atlas VPN is for a limited time giving you a huge discount right now with 3 years of subscription service for only $199 a month. So make sure to check out the best deal on the market with Atlas VPN in the link down below. Now back to Empire Total War. And I honestly don't even know where to begin because there's just so much. But why don't we start with what's already known? We already know that Empire had cut 5 factions from the game, among them Switzerland and Tuscany, 2 factions which in Europe would have made quite a difference. Melkor actually covered these cut factions in an earlier video, so if you want to watch that, I've left a link under the video. But now, there's so much more than just factions. What was so disappointing about Empire Total War were all the lacking features, aspects of the campaign that felt stripped away and things that had even been in prior games. Let's take a look at perhaps the biggest and most chilling cut content, namely the removal of a fully fledged royal family system. First of all, we essentially have proof here that Empire was supposed to be much more similar to the earlier Total War games than we could have believed. Look at these event pictures. They were supposed to show when a character came of age, when a daughter came of age, and when a daughter was too old to marry, respectively. Going further into the files, we see similar royal family events and situations, among them not only royal marriages, but the election of the Holy Roman Emperor, which could even perhaps have featured a Holy Roman Elector system. The same goes for kingdoms and republics, which according to these events seem so much more interactive or at the very least better portrayed than they ended up being. It really looks like we were going to get a full family system here where characters were supposed to be just as important or more so than they were in Medieval 2. And all of these features would have honestly made Empire into something so much better. This whole part really speaks to what's already in Empire. There is in fact already a War of Succession system in place, but it only triggers when you have no formal heir. There's nothing more to it though, and it can seem almost random at times, being so out of place with everything else in the game. But add this entire family system, and everything just makes so much more sense now. But there's more, of course. One of the weirdest implementations of the mission system in any Total War game is in fact in Empire. The only factions in the game that receives missions are England, France, and Spain, and those say only to take over land in the New World to become full overlords of their colonies. But now, we found that Empire was indeed meant to have a full mission system for every faction, reminiscent of the ones in the prior games. Missions would range from establishing alliances and trade rights, to building fisheries, defending settlements, go to war, blockade trade lanes, and much more, including a missions tab with active and completed missions, meaning that a much more active and organic system of missions was intended. Even more campaign mechanics now. There were even formidable nations mentioned here, including the English, German, Russian, Indian, and even Holy Roman Empire, suggesting reforms and other mechanics were also here. Even a governor system of sorts seemed to have been intended, as a governor's effect trait was found in the code, and it seems we were even meant to have a king's council of sorts, because these messages from the nobles are definitely more varied than the simple anger at higher taxes we have now. It seems a system of disasters, disease, and plague were on the list as well, as there are several mentions of outbreaks and the like having effects on cities and even characters, and event images definitely confirm this, showing us volcanoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, plagues, and slums, likely not far from the ones we ended up seeing later in Rome 2. Perhaps one of the biggest shockers and facets of this era is slavery, and we have proof of slavery happening as part of certain actions, but also that characters could have slaves as ancillaries, and lastly, that we could end up abolishing slavery, very much like in EU4. Plus, Empire was supposed to have a warfare system not unlike the ones in Medieval and the games after, with several options on what to do with occupied cities. We could also choose to exterminate or enslave or sack the city, for example, with the defender surrendering option seeming like one of the only things that remained in terms of battle outcomes. Seeing how even Vanilla Empire has so many factions that can emerge if certain cities revolt, one might also speculate whether liberation was another option, since that was something one could do in Napoleon. For more army and war systems, it really looks like we were meant to have attrition or even mutiny mechanics. Armies could possibly revolt and desert based on various factors, possibly making it much harder to keep armies or navies loyal on long voyages or marches. And in the same vein as attrition, a now removed hospital building suggests a more dynamic army replenishment system than the one we got, suggesting it was going to be more like in Napoleon and that the hospital could increase the replenishment. In addition, when it comes to the strength of armies, for example, it looks like we were going to get notification based on which nation was the strongest or most powerful. What we got was a prestige system, but no notifications came with it. And it would have been nice to have had the same system as in Medieval 2 here, as it felt like the game was more alive or vibrant with it somehow. Apart from other similar or minor events and features, this just really says it all. Empire Total War was intended to be the game we all wanted it to be, featuring the iconic family tree with actual meaningful characters and agents, formidable nations and empires, disasters and natural events, a slavery system for seemingly all factions, a king's council and revamped nobility and popular revolt systems, actually meaningful occupation options when taking cities, a new army replenishment system, mutinies, and so much more. It's both baffling, encouraging, and just also amazingly disappointing at the same time, seeing what Empire Total War actually became, a real shell of what was planned here. I suppose the question then becomes, why was all of this truly game-changing content cut? Well, it seems like time restraints could be the main culprit, and I say that because much of what we're seeing here was actually implemented in Napoleon Total War. There we had a new replenishment system, new occupation options, attrition and desertion systems, and Napoleon was released only 1 year after Empire, almost necessitating that many of these systems would have to have been ready and balanced before Empire's release, only to be migrated over to the better and much more polished Napoleon instead. And that's basically everything I got, friends, but damn, I was shocked learning of this. But even though it's disappointing to see so much just be left to rot, it's also kind of refreshing and vindicating to see that developers at Creative Assembly actually wanted the game to be so much more. But for whatever reason, it just didn't work out that time. We did see some of these things implemented much later actually, namely in Total War Attila with governors, the family tree returning, but it seems like it wasn't Empire's time to really shine as bright as it could have back in 2009. Hopefully an Empire 2 can take its place in the near future, becoming the Empire the original should have been. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Arcos once more for sharing this information with me, and if you have any thoughts about these revelations, make sure to let me know in the comments. I'm really itching to hear what you think of this. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon for more awesome content. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.